Hello, this is George Shiriboga with Shiriboga Realty. Here again with Scott Asbell from the Asbell Team Home Loans out of Salt Lake City, Utah. He's been a mortgage consultant for 30 years, and he's recently published a book, The 12 Secrets to Improve Your Credit Score in 37 Days or Less. So we're going to talk today about secret number 9. Go ahead, Scott.
All right. Secret number 9 is the effect of an inquiry on your credit score may be much greater or much less than you think. Now, I say that because what people don't understand is the credit system has a series of buckets that they put you in based on your level of risk. So they'll look at each person individually, look at their mix of credit, look at how well they paid things on time, then they'll assign you to a bucket. Depending on which bucket you're in, actually determines how light or how hard they hit you when you have an inquiry on your credit. Now, what's an inquiry? Well, that's when you actually say to somebody, hey, check my credit. I'd like to apply for credit with you. And that's what we call a hard inquiry. If your employer, let's say, or your insurance company does an inquiry, that's a soft inquiry on the backside. It doesn't even show up and it doesn't affect your score. But every time you consciously apply for credit, that's a hard inquiry and it does affect the score. So what's interesting about this is the people, let's just say that you're in bucket number 1, for example, that you have had a really good credit history, you're considered really low risk, and you apply for credit somewhere. That credit inquiry might have anywhere from 0 to 1 or maybe 2-point hit on your credit score. Hardly anything, right? Versus somebody, let's say, that's in bucket 16 who has had a rough go, that hasn't been able to prove themselves as credit worthy to the credit system. They're considered higher risk. A credit inquiry could cost them as high as 50 points. So it just depends on where you're on the spectrum of risk and what bucket you're in.
Thank you, Scott. And now, for example, in regards to the number of inquiries, right? Because you say it affects you differently, whether you have a high score or you have a lower score. So what would you say about the number of inquiries we can have in our credit report?
Okay, that's a good question. The irony behind this whole system is people who already have a pretty high credit score don't like to have their credit pulled because they know it could affect it and bring it down. Whereas people who have a lower score are just like, yeah, check my credit, I don't care, whatever. And it just kind of keeps their score down, right? Because they're getting hit harder than the guy who already has a high credit score when they have it checked. The system is designed that once you have 10 hard inquiries within a 6 to 12 month period, it maxes out the penalty, it applies the maximum, and from there it just stops counting and hurting you. But that's an unnecessary thing to have happen anyway. Like, who really needs to apply for anything 10 times within a 6 to 12 month period? What happens for a lot of folks is they'll go car shopping and they'll spread this out over a couple of month period. And every time they walk into a dealership, they'll say, yeah, check my credit. And potentially there's a ding happening every time that happens. Now, with that being said, there is a 14-day window on auto inquiries that all inquiries within that 14-day period only count as one inquiry. But if you spread that thing out more than 14 days, you're going to see multiple inquiries. What I would recommend is that someone actually just go to their credit union before they go car shopping, get their car loan approved. They know what their credit score is. It's all ready to go. And then when they walk into a dealership, they can say, hey, I've already got my financing in line. Yeah, maybe I'm interested in your financing too. Here's my credit score. Don't pull my credit. Tell me what my options are based on this credit score. And if a dealership's not willing to work with you under those terms, then they're just jerking you around. You just leave and go find somebody else that will. So did that answer your question?
Yes, pretty much. Good to know. Thank you, Scott. We'll be back again with the next score. Stay tuned.